My heart was pounding. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been well overdue. So today's video is going to be a very different video, and it's going to be a lot shorter than my normal vlogs. I haven't posted properly in a very long time, and that's because I've been dealing with failing a compulsory exam in medical school. So as you all know from my previous vlog, I have the most intense exam season of third year of med school. So my last exam was on the 5th of July, and this year we have two big compulsory exams. Compulsory exams are two exams, so internal medicine and general surgery, and they are exams that we need to pass in order to go into fourth year. So I had 9 exams and I passed 8 of them, and I passed 1 out of 2 of the compulsory exams. So I passed internal medicine, but I failed general surgery. So before we get into the whole heap of things, I'm just going to give a bit of a background information onto how exams are kind of structured in Bulgaria. 90% of the exams are structured in a certain format. So we start with MCQs, we then have the essay stage, and then we have the oral exam, which can consist of a practical component. For surgery, my exam was on the 1st of July and it started at 8:30. So I left home, got to the hospital, and we did the MCQ component at around 8:30. Yeah, we started at 8:30. The MCQ component consisted of 30 MCQs, and they were not that bad. They were relatively okay. From the resources that I had, I would say about 70% of the MCQs were duplicated, so it wasn't that bad. Obviously the nerves do get the best of you sometimes, and I get really bad exam anxiety, to the point where my hands will start shaking. And it's really weird, but I feel like I can't understand the sentence that I'm reading, even though it's simple English. But thank the Lord, yeah, I managed to pass the MCQ stage. I scored 80% in that, which I was really glad about. And yeah, so we finished that at around 9 o'clock. We had 30 minutes to do that. And usually what happens in an exam is there is I would say another 30-minute gap between the MCQ stage and the next stage, and in that gap the professor spends time kind of marking all the MCQs and then telling you the results of who's passed and failed. So the assistant professor was like, okay, does someone want to pick an essay topic? Straight away, like the second we had it in our MCQs. And we were like, oh, is there not going to be like a little break in between so we can wait for our MCQ results? She's like, no, what you're going to do is pick an essay and then just start writing, and the head of department will come in halfway and tell you if you failed or not. And I was like, wait, hold on. So we could all be sitting this essay thinking that we've passed, only for the head of department to come in halfway and tell us we failed. So it was very like, you know, it was just shambolic. The essay syllabus consists of 79 topics, and you randomly just pick one. And I ended up picking the worst topic, in my opinion. I ended up picking congenital anomalies, and we had to talk about the basic surgical principles of these congenital anomalies. Now, this essay, everyone kind of struggled with writing something for it. So what I had written was based off of the resources I had gathered from the upper years. And I remember the essay, not a problem. And I thought, okay, I've got this in the bag. Yeah, so I had written enough. I had written 2 pages, and I thought, okay, I've got this in the bag. I've written down sufficient enough information, blah, 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 blah. So again, we handed in our essays, and immediately the oral exam started. So again, no break. They didn't check essays to see who's passed and failed the essays. They just started with the orals like straight away. The essay stage for this exam, the oral stage for this exam is the most intense part of the exam. Once you've cleared out all the first two, once you've cleared the first 2 stages, the oral stage kind of determines fully whether you've passed or failed this exam. And so there's 3 professors, and you kind of just walk in blindly into the room and sit down with the professor, pick your essay out of the pile, and you pick a practical topic, and yeah, your oral and practical part of the exam will start. I was the 5th person into the chamber, and I managed to get the professor that I wanted. So I sat down, I fished out my essay from the table, Gave it to him. He then gave me an envelope with the practical points. So we have 27 practical points, and I picked one. I picked abdominal examination. I was like, yes, I've got this, you know, inspection, palpation, percussion, auscultation, you know, I've got it. I know what to say for that. So he spent about 5 minutes reading my essay, and he just looked at me and he's like, where is all the surgical information? And I was a bit like, I've mentioned it. So I had mentioned about 10 different congenital anomalies, and briefly for each anomaly, I had written how you would correct said congenital anomaly. And I didn't think he thought it was enough. So he then turned to the head of department behind me, and then in Bulgarian was basically said something. And then all I heard her saying was, send her home. And at this point, my heart was pounding. I was like shaking. He could see that I was shaking, and he was like to me, okay, calm down, calm down. Opposite me was another professor, and he was examining another student. So the professor I had turned to him and was like, what do you think of this? He read over it and he was like, okay, yeah, she's mentioned some stuff, like but it's up to you kind of thing. And then he turned back to me and he was just like, I'm sorry. And my heart just, oh my God, when I tell you, I thought I was gonna pass out. So he was just like, I'm sorry, like I'm gonna have to fail you here. When I left, I held my head really high because I was like, I don't want, you know, the year group to see me cry. So I walked back into the room where the rest of my friends were, and a disappointing moment of my life, I would say. I don't know, when I came home, I had a lot of what if moments. Let me talk about before I came home. So I was at the hospital, and when I had failed, I immediately texted my mom and I was like, Mom, you know, I failed this exam. And she called me, and I don't know what it is, but speaking to your mom, I feel like, so when my mom asks me what's wrong, I'll just burst out crying. So I had my head out the window on the 10th floor of that hospital, and I was on the phone to her, and I was holding in the tears. Like, you know, when you get that painful kind of feeling in your throat when you're holding in the tears? Yeah, that was me. And no one could luckily hear me because my head was literally out the window. But I turned around, held it together, and I waited for the rest of my friends to finish their exams. And I was so happy for them. Most of them did pass. And it was so hard for me to kind of conceal how I was feeling, because I was really happy for them, but I was also really upset that I didn't pass and I wasn't there celebrating with them. So I managed to get home at around 3 p.m. and that's when the waterworks started. I literally sat on the sofa, like right there, and I contemplated my entire life. I think I cried for like 3 days straight, and just the mention of this exam, just mentioning the fact that I had failed just made me cry like so much. With me, again, I get really bad exam anxiety. So when I came home, I was like, I am the biggest failure. I am such a disappointment. I don't know if other people do this, but I have the what if moment when I come home. What if I'd done that? What if I'd said this? What if I'd said that? So one of the what ifs that I had was, when I was in that seat during my oral exam, why didn't I say to the professor, hey, can you just ask me a question? Can you just ask me a bunch of questions so I can just get a 3 and pass? Why didn't I fight for myself? You know, why did I just accept that? It was just overall a really shit day. And I don't think a lot of people talk about failure in medical school. So I am putting this out there so everyone can see that it is okay to fail an exam in medical school. I feel like as a medical student, I have the biggest weight on my shoulders. I have fought so hard to get to this point. You know, I've jumped so many hurdles. I feel like I've just given ammo to the people who said I couldn't do medicine, and I've never felt like such a failure in my entire life. It took me a while to kind of deal with the feelings and deal with the emotions of it. I don't think I fully even 100% accepted it. I would say I'm about 80% of the way there. But it is currently, I don't even know what the date is today. And I am spending my entire summer doing placement whilst revising for this exam. Now the resit is coming up soon, so I really hope I pass this exam. I feel like as a medic, you kind of have the pressure to always be the best. And I feel like you can't always be the best. As you all know, getting into medical school is extremely competitive, and I feel like it creates that competitive nature. I feel like there's a stigma around medical students where just not allowed to fail, I feel like. And if you do fail, then you're not going to be a good doctor. And I just hate that. I hate it so much. Honest to God, I hate it so much. And I feel like people just expect you to pull out straight A's and A stars, or pull out straight 90% averages like that. And I don't think a lot of people understand how much emotional, like physical and mental stress we go through as medical students. And this year has just been intense. I feel like the past year and a half, especially with COVID, it's been hard as a medical student to do our degree, basically. You know, we haven't had the practical classes to keep up with all our skills. I feel like people need to get rid of this kind of stigma of medical students being smart as hell and blah blah blah. Like, we bust our asses off, and it is okay to fail, because not everything works in our favor. Like, you know, it's okay if nothing works in our favor sometimes, and in this case it didn't work in my favor. And as I said, I've accepted about 80%, and I am ready to fingers crossed pass this resit exam. Yeah, my main objective of this video was basically to just come out here and say that, you know, as medical students, it's okay to fail. You know, failure doesn't mean you're not going to be a good enough doctor. So yeah, I am going to close this video out now, and as always, if you guys have any questions about what it's like to study in Bulgaria, then please leave some comments down below, or you can DM me on my Instagram. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. But yeah, as always, have a great day, and I will see you guys next time.